Hey, so I'm back, and it's time for another Wind Down Wednesdays. Grab your drink and let's talk. So I'm back, and this week's topic is New Year, New Job. So one of the things is I've heard everybody talking about. They've been yoga and sensing and woosah, mama say, makusa about their new vision. So you've been rethinking, reprioritizing, replanning, and having the chance to see what's really, really important to you. And now is a great time for you to think about in 2021, what's the job and career that you want for yourself? Some of the things that's really important to do first is really evaluate your current situation. I'm a really big list maker because I think when you write things down, and we hear this all the time, but it's true. When you write it down, you kind of make things plain and you're able to really understand and decide what's important to you. So I always look back and evaluate what are the things about my job that I loved? What are the things about my job that I hate? So that way I can know going into the next year, what are the things that I want to do differently? So in today's conversation, I want to talk about a new job in two ways. So the upgrade and the shift. So what is the upgrade? It's not just a Beyonce song. The upgrade is when you want more from the job you're in. You're usually happy with the career or the choice or the field that you're in, but you either want more money, you want to really secure that bag for 2021, you want a better title, you want to manage more people, you want more responsibility. That's the upgrade. So it's what you're doing now, but you want to take it up to a notch because you're saying, I'm ready, or I want to position myself to be ready for that next step. That's the number one. The beginning of the year is always a great time to look for a new job. Why? Because this is when companies are setting their vision and strategy for 2021. They've had the meetings, they've got the approval, and they've got the budget ready to say, this is what we want to do in 2021, and this is the people that it's going to take to get that job done. Bonus tip, I will do a video on salary negotiations, but also keep in mind, you got to know your timing, because if you're waiting on that bonus, don't leave your old job before you get your new one and you get that bonus. You got to secure the bag. One of the things too I do want to talk about, it is a little bit difficult navigating in COVID. Budgets have changed, positions have changed. This whole our concept of, oh, I can't work from home anymore has been dispelled because we've been doing it. We've been working from home. So keep that in mind that COVID has changed the game a little bit, but companies are really bouncing back and companies are still running. Maybe it's been an unfortunate year for you and you've lost your job. That's really, really difficult. But understand there are a lot of companies out there who've been working through COVID or who are ready in 2021 to start running back again at 100%. So don't stay discouraged really too long or at all. Now is the time for you to really start to get yourself and put yourself back out of the market because we're learning how to work under a pandemic and under COVID. So if it's more money that you're looking for, thank goodness because of the internet, all of this mystery and mysticism around salaries is starting to go away. You can go onto a Glassdoor or to PayScale or salary surveys and get information to get an understanding of what that upgrade or that next step typically pays in your area, your job market, and with your experience. Now, keep in mind, these are just data points. Do not comment below that I told you to go to Glassdoor and Glassdoor promised you this $120,000 job and they offered you $80,000 and now you're mad at Joseph L. McKnight. No. That's not what I'm saying. Use that as your research and as a guiding point to kind of understand what that next step could potentially pay. Maybe you're ready to go from an individual contributor to a people manager. So what are the experiences that you need and that you need to show as far as managing other people or managing people in projects to get that job where now you're the manager managing everybody else? Or maybe you want more responsibility. Maybe you're that engineer but that's been doing $2.5 million projects and you want to take on the $10 million project. What is it going to take? Is it a certification? Is it experience? What are the things that are going to get you there? So you got to research, because if you don't know clearly where you're going and what it takes, you can't set yourself up and position yourself to be successful to get that opportunity. So once you know where it takes, once you know what it takes to get where you're going, this is when you have to make sure you're ready to get there. So one, from a resume standpoint, Does your resume speak to the experience for that job that's the upgrade? If your resume is still looking like 2 jobs before, no wonder nobody's calling you back. Your resume should clearly tell me that you're ready for that next step. So that's super important that you have that resume together. Look at job descriptions, look at keywords, sprinkle those into your resume so that way people know, oh, they're ready for the next step. And they can show me why because they've done X, Y, and Z. Once you have your resume together, it's time to start applying for jobs. And when I tell people applying for jobs is really like having another job, I always think about when I do it, I'm going to take on a part-time job. Because now I'm going to spend 15 to 20 hours a week going through the process of applying for jobs. It's also a numbers game. Now, as you go more specialized into your career, it's not going to be exactly this ratio or numbers, but I always say you apply to 100 jobs, 25 jobs call you back for a phone interview, 4 will call you back for an in-person interview, and then you're going to get one really, really good offer for a job that you like. So that can just kind of tell you scale-wise what it takes for you to get that job. Now, again, if it's more specialized, you've been in your career for a while, you probably aren't going to apply for 100 jobs, and there may not even be 100 jobs out there that you're even interested in. But just understand that. Even if it's 10 jobs that you apply for, it may be just 1 or 2 that call you back. That's okay, but it's a process. And what you need to do in the process is make a list. I know. That really needs to be our drinking game. Every time I say list, take a sip. So now let's talk about the shift, the new job, how you shift the job. So let's say you're in one career field and you want to move into another. The biggest thing that I always tell people is to research. In this new career field, what does it take for you to get there? So when you're trying to transition into a new job, it's important to know what that new job requires and how you can make that transition. My best piece of advice that I always give people, if you're trying to make a transition, try to make a transition in the job you're currently in now, because you got stock in that job and you're able to go and say, hey, you know what? I've been in finance for the last 5 years, but I want to go into operations, or I want to go, into legal or whatever it is. That way it's easier for them to transition because they know your transferable skills. But sometimes in the job you're in, that opportunity is not there and you've got to go to another company. But do your research so you can present yourself. Sometimes don't get discouraged. Sometimes you will have to go back to school, or sometimes you will have to start at an entry-level position to make that happen. There are also a lot of times you can use your transferable skills that you've gained already and make that into your next opportunity. What I would say is, 1, research what that new field wants, and then make sure you have a resume that speaks to it. Now, don't lie. That's not, Joseph L. McKnight did not tell you to lie. Don't go in there puffing up your resume talking about you done did this, that, and the third, and that's not your story. But people ask me all the time about, oh, I've been in this job, and how do I get into HR? What can I do in HR? HR is people. Talk about the things you've done in your past as people. You've been a manager at a retail store. You've done with payroll, and you've done investigations, and you've done with escalations in hard situations. Transform your resume to speak to those things that you've done that are related to the career that you want. But again, if you don't know what they're looking for in that next career, you don't know how to set up your resume to be successful. Once you have your resume in order, then you can start applying for those jobs in those opportunities. One of the things that I always type, especially with a resume, people ask about putting an objective or like a mission statement. This is sometimes a good time to put that. Accountants seeking transition into HR. So people know that, hey, just because your previous journey was one thing, you're looking to do something else. Again, you have to make the vision plain and tell people what you're trying to do. Don't think it's osmosis and people are going to know what you're doing. Make it clear so that they know you're trying to transition to something new. Also, and this is when you do use LinkedIn positively, join organizations, join groups within what you're interested in so you can start to understand what's the lingo, what are the topics that are current in this industry or in this career field that you can talk about. So that's really, really super important to be able to make your transition. But again, you go back to the same process we talked about when you upgrade. You got your list of jobs, you document every job that you apply for, and you let the process take itself. All right. So let's talk about conclusion. It's a new year and it's a new job. Now again is the perfect time. Companies are really looking to get their teams and their people in place at the top of the year so they can meet their 2021 goals. So now is the best time to look at getting a new job and a new opportunity. As I said before, we've had all year because of COVID in 2020 to figure out what matters to us. What are our priorities? So you know what's that job that you want to work and what you want to do. If it's that upgrade job, you got to make sure that you've been upgrading your resume and your skills so that way you're ready for that job and that opportunity. And that way when that opportunity comes, you can go for it. If it's the shift job, you've been doing your research. What is it that's going to take me from point A to point B to make that pivot and to make that shift? Just remember, on both ends, you've got to do your research. That's so important. Do your research, get your resume together, and then start applying for jobs. And remember, if you use those sources, referrals and LinkedIn, do it sparingly. Only follow up once. What's meant to be is meant to be. And if it's your job and if that's jobs for you, you will get it no matter what. So just always remember that. So be patient and do the work, and the opportunities will come. As you start to get those offers, remember, go back to your list. What's important? Think about your list and what's important to you. The things that you said are important matter. If you're going for more money and the job is talking about $2,000 more, that's not more money. Someone early on, a mentor told me, if it's not 20 G's or more, it ain't going to change your lifestyle. It's not going to make a huge difference. Yes, it helps, and every dollar matters. But if that's the only reason why you're answering a call, don't waste your time, because going through this process is time consuming. Don't waste your time if the job doesn't meet your requirements. If you want to work from home and this job wants you to drive an hour each way, that ain't the job for you. Let them say thank you, but no thank you. Don't waste your time, and don't waste the people's time too. Because maybe in 6 months they'll have that work from home job and they'll remember, oh, they said they want to work from home. Let me call them back. It's okay to have your list and stick to your priorities. That's okay. Once you get down to the offer, then that's when you start negotiating. And I'll do a whole other video on how to negotiate and how to do your offers. But again, go into it with your list, knowing what you want to make and knowing what you can comfortably do for your lifestyle and for your bills and your family. Thank you so much for tuning in. Next week, I'm going to be talking about the performance evaluation. So I know people dreaded, oh, what are we going to say? What did my manager say about me? Am I going to get a raise this year? COVID happened. I know my manager hates me. They don't ever give me more money. We're going to talk about all those things that go into performance review and how you can properly prepare and be successful and have a great performance review every single year with no surprises. So again, thank you so much for joining me on Wind Down Wednesdays. I hope you got some great information. I hope you did better than me this time. We got a couple more sips in of your drink, but I look forward to seeing you next week where we talk about the annual performance review and how you can be set up for success. Thank you again for tuning in. It's Joseph L. McKnight, and I'll see you next Wednesday.